Five, four, three, two, one.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome along. We are talking Leicester Norwich. Not Marty, what am I saying? Bloody hell. Gary's first home game since taking over. Not sure what he's going to think of the welcome with the protest, but we'll come on to that later. But I've got to say, Clibbo, I'm feeling a little bit optimistic.
Yeah, cautiously. But I am a little bit more optimistic than I was sort of 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think we've got a fighting chance. I'm still 49-51. I'm still on the Brexit fence. But, you know, at the end of 90 minutes tomorrow, when is it? Tomorrow, I could be very optimistic, depending on results, of course.
Well, of course. Unfortunately, we are already dependent on others, Reece. But, you know, how are you feeling compared to three weeks ago?
A lot. Slightly more confident, but not heavily confident. But no, I like the last two performances in terms of the fight and the attitude from the team. Obviously, the football hasn't been pretty, nowhere near pretty. But we all said we wanted a team that would fight and block the ball and stick their bodies on the line, and they have been doing that. I'll give them the props, but there's still a lot that needs to be done for me to convince me that we're going to stay up. But on the right path, slowly but surely for me.
Baby steps, as they say. Good evening to Craig. How are you doing, sir? And to Andreas as well. They both joined us. Suckers for punishment. But you said there, Reece, let me come back to something you just said. You said it wasn't pretty. Is this the time for pretty football? Surely this is just the time for getting points football.
Yeah, let me elaborate on that. I'm not saying it's Enzo Maresca pretty football, but there was a lot of misplaced passes, and I expect even from a substandard League One, League Two side, I'd expect them to be passing the ball straight. And there's been a lot of loose passes in the games that I've watched, but no, like I said, the fight and the efforts there. We just need to tidy up a little bit in terms of going forward. That's what I mean in terms of being pretty. But yeah, I see what you mean though.
Clibbo, it's not going to be a instant turnaround, is it? Let's be honest with you. We'd have taken these 2 draws in advance, wouldn't we?
Me, no, I wouldn't. I think because of the situation we're in, I don't think 2 draws are 2 good results. Ordinarily, you win your home games, you draw your away games, you're on path. But I think our situation is so dire, I think we needed to get 3 points out of at least one of those games. And we should have at least had 3 points from the Stoke game, but we didn't. Now, I'm not saying I expect miracles, but when you look at other teams, they get an instant manager bounce and they win a game. You know, I was hanging on that, but I'm not gonna say anything negative about Gary, because what he has done is what Reese has said, is instilled fight, bodies on the line, and I think that was the first thing that needed to happen. Although we've shipped 3 goals in 2 games, so there's still work to be done there.
There is, but Reece, come on. I mean, with the first game, Stoke, he had 2.5 days, you know, so we were expecting miracles at that point, weren't we? And then against Sheffield, not Sheffield, who did we play last time out? Bloody hell. Middlesbrough, that's it. Thank you very much. It's me age, you know. Against Middlesbrough, we were throwing bodies on the line. He's doing what we said, and I said I wanted a new manager to do, which was to come in and sort, you know, the defence out, because, you know, scoring's not really been a problem when you look at how many goals we've got. Conceding has been. Here's a stat for you. 161 days tomorrow since we last kept a clean sheet. 20th of September 2025. Yet the game against Middlesbrough was the closest we've probably come to breaking that since then.
Yes, but he has come out and said that he's not bothered if we concede in every match as long as we win football matches. So, you know, I get what you mean, Chris. Yes, it would be nice to keep a clean sheet. I'm sure he would like to keep a clean sheet, but at the end of the day, he's just focused on just winning football matches, whether it's 2-1, 3-2, 4-3. That's his job. Keep Leicester City in the Championship. And yes, he's not lost a game, but we haven't won any. I do think we've regressed in attack a little bit, and ultimately goals win you games. So I like him. I like what he's done. But I mean, instill the fight. That should be the bare minimum for me. So I'm not going to give him too much praise for that. But I understand what you're saying. But we need to win tomorrow. It's a must-win tomorrow for me.
Yeah, that I would definitely agree with. Clibbo, do you remember when we talked about this in the post-match? And, well, before the post-match, actually. But we said that, I said that if the first game to me would be pretty much a bit of a give, if you like, because you won't have had that long to sort of do too much. But if you was to pick the team that King had been picking, that Marty had been picking, and we didn't win, I'd be calling for his head straight away. Now, he did pick that team, and I had to eat a lot of humble pie after that game, because it probably was, to me, overall one of our better performances, if not the best performance of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, what you've got to look at is, I mean, he wasn't playing the same players in the same system exactly the same way. So in the time that he's had, he's looked at the players and thought, right, if I can simplify, and this is something that he's actually spoke about in his press conferences, I think, is where he said, don't overcomplicate it for players, make it simple for them, especially in the short term. No pre-season with them, no, run-up games or anything like that. Make it simple for them. And you can almost forgive him for picking the likes of Ricardo, providing that he sticks to his defensive duties. Although I still wouldn't. It's the Ayew thing that baffles me. I just can't. I can't get on board. I don't get it. I don't get why you would put him on the bench, because he does nothing. He offers nothing.
For those of you that are playing show bingo, it was the first AU comment is counted as 9 minutes. But no, I get you totally. I mean, that is the only substitution that I couldn't get my head round, because what did he bring to the game? And you're not telling me Daka is going to be knackered and needs to be rested.
I don't buy into that.
No, I don't at all. Interestingly, Reese, a player who I love, and in fairness, I'd say he did have a decent game. That's Ricardo. 2 games within a week.
Yeah, it does make you wonder, because I fully expected him to be dropped for the Middlesbrough game, because obviously that's been his pattern this season. But obviously he's picked him, so is there something more we don't know, or what? But I don't know. I was very surprised, but I would say, although it weren't an amazing performance, it was probably his best performance this season. He stuck to his job. I think the manager did make it very easy for him and said, right, you're a right back. Just do your fucking job. You can get forward when you can. And he did. And I thought he'd done a very good job, but I still stand by he should not be starting for me. But it was better. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, we'll have a look at your teams a bit later. You both picked reasonably similar teams. Reese has come back into the fold, as we said later, and gone for the 4-2-3-1. But it's the way that it's played, isn't it? It's the way that we've played. Hi, Richard. Richard's in as well. Versus Stoke, we created more chances than I can remember this season. In midweek, we were playing against the team second in the league and regress on attack at all. I mean, look, there's positives. Let's just say that it is baby steps, but there is positives. Clibo, and then Reese will come in with the same question. Earlier in the season, we beat them 2-1. They were a different animal then, though, weren't they, Clibo?
Yeah, I mean, struggling. Not a lot going right for them. But again, new manager, form's picked up, and it's steady form actually. They're not out of it by any stretch of the imagination, and this is a real opportunity to drag them back in, and I think that should be a motivation.
Definitely. And what do you remember of the game, Reese?
Well, I was there. I went with my mum. We were sat right at the back, and we were very close to the Rudkin chance. Like I said, as much as I dislike the guy, it shouldn't be happening, death threats and stuff like that. But on the game, I thought we were absolutely dreadful for about 75 minutes until Bobby Reid and who else came on? I can't remember who else came on the pitch. But until Bobby Reid come on, we were absolutely. That's it. Yeah, we were absolutely dreadful, and we somehow managed to scrape a 2-1 win in the end. Obviously, I was delighted, as always, but we were poor, and they were the worst team in the league at that point. Obviously, apart from Sheffield Wednesday, but obviously we got the 3 points. But in terms of the performance, it was pathetic, but we did what we needed. We got the 2 goals ultimately, and obviously it's a results-based business.
I remember the voice notes from that he was sending me, and they weren't best complimentary. Let's just say.
What, Reese?
Yeah.
Using maybe should we call it a little bit of colourful language?
A very choice language.
I can't believe that at all, Clipper.
Being next Tuesday was said a lot.
I think you're trying to stitch him up. Right, let's have a look at some facts about this game. Because like you say, Norwich aren't out of it yet. They are one of those teams that can be pulled back. I think Sheffield United, who were in 16th, one place above them, Reese, 45 points, they probably are safe. Give me actually, before we go on to that, give me your thoughts, because West Brom have just gone for their 3rd manager of the season. Well, they're not appointed anybody yet, but is that a worry? I mean, will they suddenly get the new manager bounce?
It depends who they appoint. I think if they go for somebody like Slavan Bilic, who has been linked with them, I do think he'll get a reaction out of him. He's a very experienced manager, and he's managed the club before, I believe. Yeah, very, very concerning. So we need to pick up points ASAP, and tomorrow is a very good opportunity to do that. I do believe I do believe we have a better squad than Norwich. I just think they're very well drilled and they're just sticking to what they need to do. I think we've got more individual quality than them. But I do. That is worrying that West Brom. That was my one hope, that West Brom would just shitter than us. But if they can get a new manager in, like a Billage or somebody of that ilk, or even Dyche, who I've seen has been linked as well. I can't see Dyche going there though. But they can get a manager with a bit of character. I do think they have got a chance. I do believe it's between us and West Brom who will take that final spot in the relegation zone.
And just if anybody's interested, 17 minutes in, it's Bristol City 0, Watford 1. Maybe they're making a late charge for the playoffs. Clibbo, here's the stats. I'll read these out because I know they can be a little bit small on the screen. But we'll start off with the fact that, well, it says here Leicester have not kept a clean sheet in 9 consecutive matches. We know it's longer than that. You're saying that it's not the end of the world if we don't keep a clean sheet as long as we score more than the opposition. If we're at Norwich tomorrow and we concede an early goal, we know what that would happen, under Marty. And under Marty, in fairness, in both those games, I think we'd have lost them because we do crumble when we concede, even if we score first. How important is it, again, to go through those first 10, 15 minutes and not concede a stupid early goal?
Well, when we talk about the protest later on, bring me back to this very point. But I do think it's very important because it's been a psychological anvil around our neck for quite some time. And I think if you can break little cycles like that, the little seed grows the mighty oak, doesn't it?
Yeah. The other one is we sit 22nd in the Championship, 5 points from safety. And look, we've mentioned this before, and it's not going to go away. I saw Stefan Borson said, who we've had on this channel recently, about the points deduction. He doesn't think the Premier League Clibber will get any extra points. He doesn't think that will happen. But he thinks we could just as easily, though, be docked another point or two because we're, appealing.
Well, yeah, and I mean, what we got to do is what anyone says, we got to take slightly with a pinch of salt because nobody knows. Even the experts don't know. But for me, it's a real risk. Now, like I said before, I don't know whether Leicester did it. And if they did, then we got to give them credit. If they did it as a response to the Premier League, then I kind of can see why they would do that. If they did it in spite of that, I think is a very risky game to play.
Indeed. And having said that, we don't know. They've not even, put it out, the fact that they've appealed actually on the website. It's unbelievable. Reece, Norwich have scored 11 goals in their last 5 matches. Shit. They sit 17th, but rank 14th in the XG table, underperforming by 3 points. As I've just said, it's not about needing to concede of keeping a clean sheet. We have to, surely, at some point. Keeping a clean sheet means we can actually go on and win a game. Can you see that being this game? Can we hold out against that sort of strike force?
It's a difficult one because I think, like Uncle Clibber mentioned, I think with the protests happening tomorrow, and it is going ahead, I know that for a fact it is going ahead, that could all depend on the atmosphere in the crowd. If the players don't feel like the crowd are behind them, they're going to, and then Norwich are going to score. But if we're up for it and we get behind them for 90 minutes, I do think that will give the players a bit of extra boost to, keep that clean sheet and, keep pushing them and stuff. I think it all depends on the crowd, really, to be honest with you. But I'm not. The way I see it at the minute is I agree with the manager. I'm not bothered about clean sheets at this stage. I just want to win enough football matches so we stay in the league. It is a little bonus, though, of course, because then that will breed confidence in the defence and the goalkeeper. But I wouldn't say it's the number one concern for me. It's top three, but not number one concern for me.
No. Looking at recent form, Clippo, again, that's the case of what the fuck. I mean, they've only lost 1 in 5. They've won 4 of those 5. All right, the last game was against Sheffield Wednesday, so you'd expect them to have won that. They then also beat West Brom. They've beat Oxford, and they've beat Blackburn Rovers. So when you look at their good run, in fairness, apart from Birmingham, who they lost to, they are teams that you would have picked in a prediction league to have won.
Well, I think you could testify to this, Chris. Let's not talk about prediction leagues with your track record.
Hang on. I'm just going to take that knife out my back. Oh, there you go. Carry on.
But in fairness to you, let me try and think of something nice. No, in fairness to you,
that whole
this league.
Be careful.
No, this league, it's impossible. I mean, you are just taking a stab in the dark. So I wouldn't really say. I mean, if I'd have done the prediction league, I dare say I'd have been absolutely useless because whenever I look at the fixtures, I always go, oh yeah, this one.
Yeah,
I'm rarely right because it throws up so many unpredictables. It's not like the Premier League. I mean, you could probably get 80% of the result right in weeks in the Premier League and kind of be half confident, whereas this is it's a stab in the dark.
Oh, it is. But what I'm saying is, at this point in the season, and it is an amazing, unbelievable league this season. Anybody can beat anybody. But, they played midweek against a team that is bottom and already relegated. Before that, obviously, they lost to Birmingham, who were the highest placed team they played. They then beat West Bromwich Albion, who are in 21st. They then beat Oxford United, who are in 23rd. They then beat Blackburn Rovers, who are in 20th. So, Reece, it's not been the hardest run for them, has it?
Well, no, but, I don't think we can use that against them. They've done what they needed to do. They've done their jobs. And they've performed when they needed to perform, and they did need to start performing. And fair play to them. They've picked up form. They've peaked at the right time, and I think we'd have loved to, have had that run. And we'd have probably been in their position, but obviously we weren't. So, but no, I see your point. It's not the easiest, but they have put some good performances in against the better teams. They've been really in the games against these bigger oppositions in the league. And just quickly, Chris, I'm just going back to a point that what you've just said. An amazing league, really? I think it's one of the...
No, what I meant was an amazing league for it being unpredictable. Not amazing league because it's a fantastic league. But
I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant, but I think that is that's not a compliment for the league. That shows how shit it is, in my opinion.
No, I grant you, because Sheffield Wednesday could go out and beat Middlesbrough next week. You know what I mean?
It is a good job. In actual fact, we've got to thank Norwich for those results. In fairness,
yes, we have. But let me ask you this, Clibbo. They made a decision early on in the season to change managers, and I keep coming back to this point. Did we leave it too late?
Yes. But we've got form with it. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's not like we've done it once and learnt from it. We seem to be repeating the pattern. That's the concerning thing to me about this club going forward, because they've got a choice to make at the end of the season. whether we're in this league or whether we're in League One. We've got a choice to make. Now, there's a big difference between this league and League One in terms of finances, styles of play, and all the rest of it. I'm not sure. In fact, I am sure. I don't trust these people to pick the right manager. It might be the case that Rowett is the person we need for a couple of years. And then these people will go, well, actually, we'd like a young progressive manager that's got no experience dealing with this kind of stuff and screw it up again. That's what I see happening because that's form.
Oh, it is. It is, you know. I mean, as we get during the season, and we've kind of touched on this before, but, you know, if Rowett either A, keeps us up, or B, we go down with a fight, is he the man, Reece, to maybe give another season to? Because, he, you know, this is his level, if you like.
Yeah, I'd give him the job. I think he's shown more than enough culturally to get the job, whether we stay up or go down, because either way, we need to rebuild in both scenarios. We need to rebuild in this division and in League One. And I think for a season to get things going, pushing in the right direction, I think he is the man to do that. He'll install respect, you know, and a good culture around the whole football club. So yeah, I'd give him the job 100% either way.
Yeah.
We need stability.
Sorry, Clibbo, do you think, Norwich looking at our results and where we are in the table, but do you think they'll be thinking, hang on, this is Rowett's first game, you know, at home, if you like, you know, this could be a banana skin for us?
No, why would you? You're looking at a team there that's got form. Why would you start to think negative things when you've got results like that? It will be something that they will sort of subconsciously think about, I would imagine, or the manager certainly, but players, I would doubt it. Anyone worth their salt will be looking at their own club and going, actually, look at where we've come. Look at the last few results. We shouldn't fear this.
Yeah,
they're showing that mentality. So why would they think anything negative? Yeah. They're not going to allow that, and the manager's not going to allow it.
Yeah, I get what you say. Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to go and look at the comparisons between us and Norwich this season. We'll look at defence, duels, passing and shooting. Yes, there was some shooting figures to look at. But look, this is the defence, Reece. And you look at whoever's in green is the better of the two. And first of all, when you look at clearances, we're on 11,000. They're on 927. But I suppose that does that mean, is that a good thing, do you think, or does that mean that we've been letting them get too close to the goalkeeper?
Yeah, what you've just said there, that we're letting them far too close to the keeper, and we've got players in that squad that should be more than capable of handling this division. You know, they've got a track record of it, for goodness sake. And, you know, I mean, not even just those stats, Chris, we've got the second worst defensive record in this fucking league. And that is embarrassing. It's embarrassing that I'm even saying that with some of the players we've got, you know, in terms of this level, that we've got the second worst. And I think it's a fucking disgrace that we have got that record. But no, those stats are very worrying. I assume, obviously, they've picked up a hell of a lot, those green sides on Norwich's side, since the new manager has come in, because they were in dire straits. They were worse than us. They were legitimately worse than us before they got the new manager in.
When you look at ours, Reece, it's, you know, the goals conceded and the goals conceded inside the box. You would expect that to possibly improve under Rowett. So, like you say, theirs has improved. But even, you know, taking into account that they have had that change of manager, that is still worrying when you look and say that is your defence. But the goals conceded, 54. 49 of those are from inside the box. And look, I know Gary Rowett's coming now, but that says so much about how shit the defenders are.
Yeah, they've not been coached. They've not been coached right. They're trying to, they've been focusing more about playing out from the fucking back rather than the fundamentals of being a defender, which is make blocks, clear the ball, head the ball clear, and protect your goalkeeper. They're the fundamentals of football, and we've had that neglected for a few years now, probably since even Brendan, when Brendan was in charge, because we had a period where we conceded from lots and lots of set pieces, and that's where for me the rot started. We need to get back to basics and teach the fundamentals on how to be a fucking defender.
Oh, 100%. And it shows the goals conceded there from outside the box is only 5. But like you say, Clibbo, I'm hoping that we're going to see, with our new manager being a defender and the assistant manager also being a defender, I'm hoping that that will improve. But as the advisor says, we desperately need a clean sheet, but I'll take a win over a clean sheet, which we've all basically said the same, haven't we? So that's the defence.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you through the duels, for fuck's sake, which looks even worse. Now we haven't got any green on this at all. So, we were looking at then how bad the defence was. This is tackles, and look at that. Duels contested, we're worse at. Tackles made, we're worse than them. Fouls on tackle attempts, we've done more, so which makes us the worst. Take-ons completed, worse. Take-on success percent, worse. Aerial duels won, a lot worse. Ground duels won, a lot worse. Now, this is against, and as Reece has just said, obviously at the start of the season, they were shit. And we were, at the start of the season, we weren't that shit, So that to me, that's a damning graph, isn't it?
Yeah, I think what that says to me when I look at that, the first thing that springs to mind is we can't play the system we're playing. Because if you look at take-ons completed, we've got I would have said at the beginning of the season we had the 2 best wingers in the league. I don't think that right at this very moment, but you think they should be doing that all day long for a start. If you look all over the pitch, we had players that, in inverted commas, you would call footballers that should be taking people on. That's outstanding from Norwich to come from where they've got to that to be ahead of us. You'd have to sort of round of applause for them. But ground duels won, shocking. Aerial duels, shocking. It's shocking. You can't play your football if you don't win your duels. It's as simple as that. And that, it's advisor said that. Oh my God, no words. I couldn't have put that better myself.
It does make you think, Reece, doesn't it? That look, how easy is it for me to get these stats up? So therefore, it's not going to be difficult for a certain director of football to get these stats up. And yet, has he been going in, or should he have been going in and going to Marty, what the fuck's going on?
Well, yeah, not only that, but his number 2 as well. His number 2 can have an input on that as well, and the coaches, and go make suggestions and say, right, we need to tighten up. But obviously, managers are ultimately the decision makers of the team. Just quickly on Norwich's, I think that they're my dark horse for next season to get promoted. I think if they carry on their form and strengthen a bit, I do think they'll be up there. But back to what you just said. Yeah, I completely agree, Chris. It just shows you how this modern way of thinking is neglecting defenders and neglecting the defence. And it's we can't afford to be thinking like, how we're going to play our football today, or which patterns of play we're going to do. No, we need to get back to fucking basics, for goodness sake, and defend and obviously attack better as well.
Let's have a look at passing then, which is a little bit better. Is it me, Reese, or those last couple of games, we don't seem to be focusing on the playing out from the back as much?
Yes, I agree. There is a lot more intention to get it more direct and forward more. That, you know, there is that intention there, but obviously the passing has just been poor, you know, and I feel like it has been neglected, but I understand why, because we need to shore up the defence a bit. But I do see a lot of more long balls to the wingers, trying to push up the pitch, because that's all it takes. One ball and you're already, you know, you can push the whole team forward. You know, it's not rocket science. But Gary Rowett's like coaching philosophy has always been, right, he comes in, sees how they play, and then makes his certain adjustments in. So there has been times where we have been playing like with certain patterns, but not as often as we did under Marty or Rude or Enzo. You know, it's a lot more direct at times, which I'm happy with. Mix it up a little bit.
Sometimes when I've been watching Leicester, when we get to the second half and there's probably been a change or whatever, some of the players, they still look absolutely lost.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, because it's like me and Uncle Clibo said. I think that some of the tactics, I don't think sometimes they know what they're meant to be doing, because you're giving these fucking Hollywood Barcelona formations, but we've got substandard footballers. I mean, fucking hell, they're not that clever. So, you know, at the end of the day, football's a simple game, and it's been making way too complicated at this club, and it's pissing me off.
Interesting. Our passing accuracy is better. We've completed more passes. Now, you know, somebody would come and go, yeah, but that's sort of, you know, Nelson passing to a Coley, passing to Faze when he was there, passing to Vestergaard. But passes completed in the opposition half, we are higher, 400 odd passes higher. Interestingly, passes completed in our own half, we've done less than Norwich, which kind of says, yeah, we haven't been doing that as much. And, you know, I think even under Kingy, we started to see a change in that, didn't we?
You see, when I look at stats like that, you can make it sound a million different ways. I mean, they might be defending in their own half, having to pass it between themselves a lot because they're being bombarded. There's a lots of ways of looking at that. You can assume it one way and assume it another way. I don't really there are a couple of stats like winning your duels and things like that. I think that are important, particularly at this stage of the season. But I don't know. You can't assume unless you watch the games. I think you can assume one way or another with stats like that. But going back to the passing thing that you spoke to Reese about just a second ago, I think what Rowett's done is he's been a bit more economical, whereas previous managers, the goalkeeper gets the ball, passes it to the fullback passes it to Vestergaard, you know, and that was the pattern every single time. What they're doing this time is looking to whether that's the best option at this point. If it's not, it gets pumped, and that's what I like. Mm-hmm. I think there's two, you know, there's more than one way to skin a cat, so to speak. And I think that's where there's a change. That's where we've changed a little bit. There is still times where we're passing it out from the back. I've seen it a few times, and I don't mind that, providing you're not. I mean, it was the West Brom game under Enzo, and I think it was that game where Chowdhury had a blinder.
Yeah.
The
perfect.
We were trying to.
Lines.
Yeah, we were trying to do that against them, and they just sussed us out. They were honours like Arsenal do, and we just couldn't handle it. Now that's where I think someone like Gary Rowett would recognise it and go, "Hey lads, pump it long."
Yeah. I mean, advisor says there he agrees, but stats will predict a pattern and trends. With that, while not dreadful because it is a head-to-head versus overall, but you cannot ignore them fully either.
No,
And the thing is, stats is what everybody looks at with football, isn't it? And talking
Just,
of, yeah, carry on.
just
Reece.
sorry to interrupt you. Just
No,
quickly
no.
on that stat about passes in the opposition half. What that tells me is we can't break teams down. We cannot break teams down. That's what that stat tells me. You know, the less passes I see in the opposition half, the better, because you can break them down quickly. You can find the spaces and bang, you can score a goal. But that tells me we cannot break teams down. And Lord Mihal, why are we seeing so many screamers this season? Because we cannot break.
That's what I was saying. You can interpret it. While I agree with advisor, and it's what I said certain stats you've got to look at, but others are quite misleading at times. Misleading. I mean, look, when we won the Premier League, I think we had, average of 36% possession, and we won the league. That's really misleading, isn't it? If you were to look at it. And that's what I'm saying about stats. You can take them, unless you watch every game.
And you can have a set of stats that Conservatives will say one thing, Labour will say another, Green Party will say a third. So, but it's what everybody bases on. And I'm going to carry on doing this because we've got the shooting stats coming up now, Clibbo. Now, looking at the shooting, right, so we've got shots, excluding blocks. We've had 274 to their 292. We've had less shots on target. We've hit the woodwork less often. We have scored 2 more goals than they have, but they're scoring more from inside the box. Based by backing up what you're just saying, we scored twice as many goals from outside the box as they have. And our conversion rate is better as well. I mean, they've been saying, haven't they, all the way through the season that, well, scoring hasn't always been a problem. But it has, because of what Reece has just said and what they're saying there, that we are having to produce these worldies because our number 9s aren't scoring.
Again, that conversion rate is misleading because you've got to look at what do they call it in politics? The
swing?
The swing, yes, the swing. If you look at Norwich at the beginning of the season, it was absolutely shocking. Ours was okay. And now what? They are like literally, we're 17, they're 15. So their swing is actually quite impressive, whereas ours has gone the other way. So you can look at that completely differently to what it suggests on there. I think they're on that trajectory and we're on that one.
Yeah,
so that I wouldn't take much notice of.
Yeah. I mean, Reece, you wouldn't take much notice. You know how long I've spent doing these stats and you're just throwing them in the bin? This was my afternoon, mate.
No. I think it's creating a discussion. It's creating a discussion. I mean, I wouldn't dismiss all of those stats. There are key stats there. Goals, that's one of them, Shots on target, that's obviously quite important. But I think there are certain stats you can be completely misled by. And it's important to talk about them.
Yeah, it is. Reece, it is important to talk about them. And as I've just said there, we are relying, as you made the very good point, that the goals are coming from outside the box, rather than, the number 9. I mean, and what have we got to do to get our number 9 scoring?
Number 9?
Maybe. What number 9? Well, I mean, we all know what Daka is, but ultimately he does work hard, and it's like one called Clibbo said the other night. He kept that back four, one of the better back fours in this league, on their toes. So and against Norwich, I said I was glad he started because yes, he didn't score, but he worked his arse off, and he Yeah, Middlesbrough, but when he played Norwich, he started as well, and he was
sorry, with you. Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all right. But he was a nuisance all game, and ultimately, you keep working hard, a goal will come to you. A goal will come to you, and I'm sorry, he is the only natural striker we have at the club because I don't see Jordan Ayew as a striker, so you've got no option. But I would like to see two up top, maybe Macassar sitting off him, or even Bobby sitting off him. But do you take Bobby? Or Monga, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say this because, and we'll come to your teams next. So I don't want to sort of give anything away, but yes, I think Daka would work better in a 2. When he was scoring before we signed him, he was in a 2, albeit he had Haaland with him, of course. But you mentioned it, Clibbo, and a lot of people have said when Ayew came on as a replacement number 9. He was on the fucking left wing more than anything.
Yeah, and the thing that annoys me is if you're being brought on as a 9 and you go onto the wing, you're just being bloody defiant, if you ask me. You're not telling me that a player of his experience can't go against his instincts. His instincts are to go out wide, right? He's a professional footballer of many years of experience. You're going on, are you? And I want you to play a number 9. I want you to get in that box. I want you to win headers. I want you to be available for the wingers. I don't believe that the managers are saying go out wide. I don't believe it. I don't believe the managers are saying fall over every time the ball comes to you. I don't believe the managers saying do loads of tricks on the line in 3/4 of the way up the pitch and then end up passing it back to Thomas. I don't believe that the managers are telling him that. I think that's just him.
Yeah,
which is shit.
But getting no arguments on that. But I mean, I think it was possibly Reece. I'm not sure. Just mentioned it. Why not put Bobby in that role? I mean, all right, he did okay on the wing, but he's not a winger really. He's not got the legs for it. But and when I say that, I mean being able to run, not the fact that he's got nice-looking legs. But what? Before anybody writes in, but he knows where the goal is. He's played, he scored most of his goals when he was playing in that number 10 position. So why not just move him forward a little bit? And you've got Mukasa behind him and give him that role in that box. Because I think if he is given that role, he will get quite a few goals for us.
Yeah, well, if you look at his early career in Bristol City, Cardiff and Fulham, he was always that centre forward, just sat off the striker. He was never a wide player or anything like that. He could play out wide and do a job, but he'd always it was like Jose Perez when we signed him, just sitting off the striker and will pop up with the odd goal here and there. I believe, I've said this for a while, I think he's the most natural finisher at the club in terms of goal scoring. I think he's got the eye for a goal. He shoots on instinct and he knows exactly where the net is. So I don't see a reason why we can't try that, and I'm shocked that nobody has tried it yet, but obviously it's 2 up top. It's not fucking fashionable, is it? But no, if I see that tomorrow, Daka and Bobby up front, I would be well happy with that. Very happy. You got a workhorse and you got a finisher. So, and it's a good combo.
It is. Right, let's come on to your teams. Now, Reece, last week you went for a different 4-1-4-1, I believe it was. No, it wasn't, was it? No. What was it you went
4-4-1-1. 4-4-1-1.
That was it. Sorry, I'd got the numbers right, but as Eric Morecambe once said, not necessarily in the right order. Now you've come back into the fold. We welcome you back with open arms into the We Hate 4-2-3-1 system, but it looks like we're going to be stuck with it. I've done it this way, because you've basically gone for almost the same.
What the fuck are those pictures? Why do I have the biggest ears in the bloody world? My ears ain't that big, are they?
I'm just thinking though, Uncle Slibbo. When you say Uncle Slibbo, he does look like he's about to offer you a Haribo, doesn't he?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But
I think
no,
I look more like I'm about to offer you uh, uh, in the back of a van. Or get in the van at
Silly.
9. That's what it looks like.
Silly.
Oh dear. Bobby Nicovery, just to say, he's actually got 5 goals for us this season, the same as Jordan Ayew, but having played less games. And obviously, you got James and Fatawu up scoring more. But look, those are the teams. And do forgive the pictures. That I come up with a caricature, and that's what they came up with. Mine looks a lot worse. If it makes you feel any better, me being bold, mine look a lot worse. Clibo, let's go through your team first of all, because you're on the left. You've stuck with Asmir Berkovic.
Yeah, although I don't think he's an amazing goalkeeper, I think he recognises where we are, what needs to happen. He's been there, done it, and he's one of these people. You can say a lot of players, I've got experience, but they don't use the experience. He's one where I think he is using his experience, and I think it would be foolish to drop him.
Now, actually, I'm going to bring you in, Reece, because we'll actually do it this way instead. But you've said before you think Stolarczyk is the better keeper, but you've gone for Bekovic as well.
I have, yeah. I'm going to try and pick between what I would go with and what the manager will go with. You know, I'll try and be a bit more flexible because obviously if it was up to me, I'd put all the fucking youngsters in. I really would. I'd really put them all in. But obviously we can't do that. We're not going to do that. So I'm trying to be a bit more realistic. But no, he made a few good saves the other night. I wasn't too sure on him starting, but in the two games that since Rowett's been in, I think he's really done well. Cheers, advisor, mate. But he's done well. He's done his job. He has made a couple of crucial saves, especially in the Middlesbrough game. But in the long term, I would like to see Jakub integrated back into the team. But maybe for now, work with him a bit, get his confidence back up, put your arm around him, and let Begovic just do the job for now.
Yeah, no, I mean, am I being horrible? And let me finish before you say yes. But am I being horrible?
Yes.
In saying that I honestly think if Stolarczyk had been in goal for that Middlesbrough game, I don't think we would have got the draw.
Well, we'll never know, will we?
No, we won't. But do you think? Fucking hell, you're a pain in the arse. You know that.
Do you know what? Yes, I do. Yes, I do think we'd have got the draw because I'm sure Gary Rowett is a very good man manager, and if he'd have had to gone round to Jakub and put his arm around him and go, right, just listen to me. You're a good keeper. You're a young lad. You're going to be the future of this club, and he'd have breeded his confidence a little bit. If he'd have had to pick him. So yes, I do. I've got faith in him. I think he's a good goalkeeper. I think he's been poorly developed by managers that we've had. And I think he's a good keeper. And I do think we will regret letting him go. I really do. I think there's a future for this lad. And I do think, yes, we would have got a draw.
Do you think so, Clibo?
I think at this stage, Jakub isn't in the team for a reason. But I do agree with a lot Reece says. You have to remember this lad played in the Premier League for us and did a very sterling job when he played for us in the Premier League. So I think he's got a reasonably high ceiling. I've heard so many people just saying such terrible, nasty shit about Jakub, and I can see why people react very quickly, don't they? You know, we all do it, but I think he needs to be managed well. because he's been put in. He's a young lad, and we know that keepers mature a lot later. He's been put in situations that are just full of adversity, and it's just time to take him out. So in some respects, I think you might. I kind of agree with you on this one. I think putting somebody whose confidence is shot against a team that will just pepper you, I think maybe we will never know, but I do think potentially we would have lost that game, just given that he's so shaky at the moment because of his confidence.
Yeah. Ben says if you give a clean sheet by the end of the season, Chris, will you wear the foul face wig? Who knows? Who knows? I mean, I have said that I will not wear a Leicester City shirt again. I will wear Leicester City sweatshirts and polo shirts, but I will not wear a Leicester City shirt until we get a win. Not a clean sheet, just get a win. And that's why tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be a Toronto FC fan. But I've got to say, actually, Reese, you got a bit of a look at Jordan Blackwell there.
Brilliant, marvelous. I hope my journalism's better than him.
Well,
Better than him. It's dreadful.
I was thinking more Peter Sutcliffe.
Thanks a lot, mate.
No, that he's going to get tagged in this now by YouTube.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate. I appreciate that.
You know, the famous cricketer.
The cricketer, yes, yeah. Well, I mentioned that very famous German inventor, with the initials AH, and that got tagged. Picture of him in the bottom as well. Look, let's get back across the back four because you've agreed on this. So let's start off with the right back. No surprise there. You've dropped Ricardo, Clibo, and you brought Aluko in.
Yeah, I mean, even though that Ricardo's responsibilities have been somewhat, well, let's be frank. He's not having to tear ass into the midfield and do two jobs, is he, anymore? So that's why he's been able to play 2 games in a row, or been risked anyway. But I don't think 3 in a week. And I also think Aluko could do just as good a job, and he's less of an injury risk. So I would definitely play him. But if he plays half decent, I would keep him there and have Ricky as your backup.
Reece, both you and Clibo, you've brought him back in. He's on the grass. When they say he's on the grass, I hope that they mean the training pitch and not the sort of grass. But that might make him play better. But you brought Jamal Lascelles back.
Yes. I know Aluko got us the goal, but again, just poor decision making, leading to Middlesbrough's goal.
Sorry, one second, Reece. Sorry, just got to say, Clibo has gone to empty his bladder. I know he tried to keep it a secret and message us thing, but I think the voice do carry on.
That's okay. But no, I mean, yeah, I know Okoli got the goal, but again, I'm not bothered about centre-backs scoring goals. I'm worried about them keeping the ball out the back of the net, and he was making too many poor decisions. I think if Lascelles was in that position, he'd have been a lot more smarter and a lot more, calm on the ball than Okoli. He gives me anxiety every time he's on the ball. He's piss poor on the ball. So, no, I'd bring Lascelles back in. We need that lead, especially if we're going to bring Aluko in. We need that leader at the back, and I would give him the armband for this game.
Is he?
Yes, he is my captain. Yes, I'd have him as captain for the rest of the season. I don't give a shit if he's been here for a few weeks or whatnot. He's an experienced Premier League proven defender. He's won trophies at Newcastle. He was their club captain. This is Newcastle, not some small club. He was their club captain for 7 or 8 years, or whatever it was. So there's a reason why I would have him as captain.
Yeah. We'll carry on because obviously Clibo, being of a certain age, just Takes a bit longer to empty his bladder, and I speak from experience with that one. You still got Ben Nelson in there, probably the one name in the back four that's reliable. My worry is here because on one side we've got Luke Thomas, who we'll come on to at the moment, but you got those two that obviously know each other, they've played together. Something Clibbo said in the past, how important it is to have a back four that are playing regularly together.
Yeah, yes, I agree. But I do believe if, like, for example, if Lascelles was fit, I'd still think he'd be starting. Like, I think he'd be the number one starting centre back alongside Ben Nelson, because obviously Lascelles is a leader and he's a proven defender, and Ben Nelson, Gary Rowett has worked with him at Oxford, so he knows him better than anyone, sort of thing. So, but obviously, I do believe Christensen would have been the left back under Gary Rowett, but obviously he's injured for the rest of the seasons. But so now I'd like to see this back four for the rest of the season. You've got athleticism in Okoli, leadership with Lascelles, you've got calm and composure with Ben Nelson, and you've got Luke Thomas.
Do you feel better that, Clibbo?
Yeah, I had my headphones on whilst having a slash, and I could hear you all talking about me, and I was feeling really under pressure to get it done quickly.
Silly.
I think we're gonna start a Just Fund Me page to get Clibbo a commode. Then you just have to move a door.
I'll make that from work.
Something, yeah, of course, yeah. Ben says there, I recall Okoli playing right back in the reverse fixture. I mean, if you keep Lascelles and Nelson in the centre, could you play Okoli at right back and then a Luco instead of Luke Thomas?
No, and it goes back to what I've said before. It's a completely different position to play. I mean, it's like being right-handed, left-handed. You know, everything's back to front, so your instincts aren't as quick, and it costs you. And I think I don't think at this stage we can afford to be doing that. No. I think you've got to have a left back being spoken to and trained by another left back, Callum Davison, and work with him. There's no point now destroying the kid. You've got to build him up because he's a left-sided player. Don't be changed. I just think you're asking for trouble if you start putting people in positions just for the sake of it now.
I love the fact that you're both being forced to pick Luke Thomas purely because we've got nobody else rather than his outstanding ability. I mean, if we go 1-0 down early and it's his fault, you know the crowd are going to get on his back, don't you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But this is my problem with the protest, by the way, which I'll come on to in a bit. But I do agree with the protest, but not in this game. But what I will say is, I think this game in particular, no matter what people's opinions are of the situation, even after the protest, when they go in the ground, if we go down 1-0 after 1 minute and it's Thomas's fault, we just cannot get on his back or any of the ones back. We've got to, at least for this game, Rowett's first home game, we've got to get 3 points. And the amount of negativity that potentially could happen after this game, I just think we've got to hold it together for the lads, and because they've been putting it in for 2 games. So let's reciprocate.
Right, we're getting into the 2 DMs, and this is where we get the first bit of a difference. You've both gone for Ollie Skip, and I completely get why you've done that. Clibbo, you've stuck with Harry Winks, and I understand that because he was my man of the match against Middlesbrough, and he was all over the place. Is that why you've stuck with him?
Well, there was a few reasons, because my initial my instinct was to put Aribo in there. But I think Gary Rowett sees him as somebody that can get us progressive, up the pitch. Well, look at his stats the other day. He sees him as that kind of player. So I don't think he's going to drop him anyway. So it would be very difficult and quite counterproductive to drop a player who maybe even trying to make amends for personal reasons for his own development, a new club, whatever. But I don't really see the point in bringing him in, because you need to bring him in, him having exceptional stats and then kicking him out again. I don't really see how that's productive. In fact, it's not productive, is it? So for that reason, it might prove me wrong. It might be a tosser again in the next game, in which I'll just be fuming. But I think, given what he's just done for the last couple of games, I think it'd be very, very difficult to drop him. Personally, I wouldn't have had him in the first place from the get-go. But now he is, and there's nothing I can do or anyone can influence that. Yeah, I don't really see the point in dropping him.
No. Reece has had to go for a few minutes. He has put Aribo in there. Has he done enough to earn that position? And neither of you have brought back, although you brought back Lascelles, neither of you have brought back James.
No, I don't think there's any point bringing James back, because we need him for what we need the side to do is get as many points as possible before he comes back. Because James, listen to the interview, the press conference. He was begging the physios to get certain players up. Now, what we've done many times in the past is bring players back too quickly. And we cannot afford to have James out for the rest of the season. I think that would be very detrimental to what we're trying to achieve. So for this game, if he's fit, have him on the bench, maybe introduce him with 15 minutes to go, get his legs moving again. But I don't really see the point in that. Ariba, has he done enough to warrant a start? Maybe if Winks hadn't played so well in the last couple of games, he would warrant a start for me. But for those reasons, I don't think you should change Winks.
You've both gone in that number 10 position for Mikasa. He's got to be the first name on the team sheet at the moment, hasn't he?
He's got to be one of the first people on the team sheet for sure. I just think that without him, we don't have a number 10 with that kind of creativity. And I think the manager has obviously been working a lot on the defensive side of things. And like Reece said at the beginning, at the top of the show, we have slightly regressed in terms of the creativity. But we're not trying to play Arsenal, Barcelona type football. So, there is reasons for that. But I think where anything kind of exciting happens, he's kind of 90% part of that. So while he's fit, while he's here, it's a no risk for me and a no brainer. He has to start.
And you've both dropped Mavididi and brought Silko Thomas on.
Well, I can confidently speak for Reece here while he's off doing whatever he's doing. We had a chat about this, and I don't see what he brings to the team. And I did look at this. I did look at him, kind of zoned in on him for the last two games. I don't see what he brings to the team. I think you could say that he's doing a bit more running, maybe tracking back the odd time more than he was doing, but he's doing nothing. Well, going forward, he loses the ball. He makes sloppy passes. And during a time where we're transitioning in terms of style, we need those players that can open up and do something. I mean, he's had opportunities to score, fluffed his lines. He kind of takes players on and passes back. He looks fed up when he can't take somebody on or he gets tackled. Just don't need it because he's offering nothing to the team. It's not progressive, and we're carrying him, if you ask me.
Yeah. I think Reese is back. He's clicked in. We'll carry on to see if he pops up. I bet he's heard that before. But then on the right wing, you've brought Fatawu back.
I have. I think I've just come to the conclusion that on that right wing we don't have anybody, and I'm just banking on Fatawu doing one good thing. So, but I'm hoping that Gary has worked with him and said, "Look, here's the best bits about you. Go and do those things," because quite often he does that one trick thing. People have sussed that out, or he ends up doing exactly what Mavropanos does: takes it up the line, plays it backwards, but he does pop up with the odd thing, the odd bit of brilliance. I don't really think Monga. In fact, Monga is wasted on the wings. He's not a winger. He has played winger in the in the youth, but it's a different kettle of fish. He's not. I'd play him where we've talked about, Chris. If you're going to play him, or if Macassa's struggling, bring him on as a 10. Just got to play the guy where he wants to play. That. I think we're stifling him, but yeah, that's my reasons for picking.
Reese is having trouble logging on and charging and what have you, which we all do. It always never goes when you're not in the middle of a show. So don't worry, Reese. We'll carry on without him, won't we, Clibbo? You've got the
regardless.
You've got the two good-looking ones left. Let me just say that. I'm surprised at Reese, and I know he's not here to defend himself, so I'm not going to have a go. But he has said pretty much the same as you and I have said. Let's play Reese as that, two up front, and he's the one off the striker, or he's the one of playing up front with Daka. But he has put him on that wing. Interesting what you were saying about Fatawu, because what you were saying about Fatawu, I feel a lot of it you could be saying about Mavropanos.
Mavropanos hasn't got that, that little, I don't know how to describe it, that just little essence of magic when out of nowhere. Mavropanos hasn't got that. And that for me is the difference. I think potentially Fatawu has he's got the ability to go a little bit higher. Yeah. Mavropanos is at his level.
Yeah. I know what you said. And the annoying thing I find with both of them, but especially Mavropanos, and Monga's falling into this trap as well. And I've said it many times. It was so obvious against when we played Cheltenham Town that he'd gone up the field and he'd got one defender on him, and he was, doing his, passing from his right foot to his left foot, back to his right foot, a couple of step overs. By the time he decided what to do, two of the defenders had come back. And it's like, no wonder he's got 2 and 3 on him.
Yeah, I mean, in the lower leagues where, let's say tackling is a little more crude than the Premier League, you know what it's like. If you play Sunday League and you've got some prat doing that, you just take him out, don't you? Yes. And it's a little bit like that in the Championship and lower leagues.
Yeah.
It's not full of finesse, is it?
No. And you've got both got Daka up front, which, I wouldn't mind seeing Bobby there. I'm hoping that if he takes Daka off late in the game, that it is Bobby that he brings on, but we do know it will probably be Ayew. But I don't ever particularly want to see Ayew anywhere near this club again.
I don't know. I've got this sort of confidence that maybe I'm just blindsided. I don't know. I've got this confidence that is going to happen. And the reason I say that is because I think anyone who's worth their salt, who gave Ayew that opportunity to show what he can do as a substitute, came on and did precisely sweet FA and made the game even more shit. I think you have to look at that as a professional and go, yeah, that's not the level. That's not the level. And we know, and he knows, that Bobby has played centre forward. He's not, he's not going to get you 20 goals as a centre forward, but in a scrapping team, he'll feed on scraps and he'll get you 4 or 5 goals here and there. Whereas Ayew is just, I'm speechless, Chris. I don't know what he does. I don't know what he does. I don't know what he's meant to do.
When we got him, it was from Palace, wasn't it? If I believe,
Yeah,
if I remember me right. And I did a show with the Palace fan, and he said what he'll do is he's good for coming on towards the end of a game when you're holding on, and he'll go down and he'll get you a free kick in the dangerous area, or the whole play up. But if you're going to do that, you need to be in the centre for not in the fucking left-hand corner where he buggered off to the other day. But but there we go. But look, I either of those teams, I wouldn't be against either of those teams turning up. Probably. Yeah, I'd probably. Sorry, Reese, but I would probably edge more towards yours at the moment, Tibbo. But we'll see. How often have we predicted the right team? Never.
I think that'll be the team tomorrow. I genuinely think that will be the team tomorrow.
Yeah. What we're going to be doing just next week, just to let you know, is that we normally do this with Kate, Pick and Mix. Now, Kate's been away for a month, so she's back next week. So we'll do a show at lunchtime on a Friday, and what we'll do is then we will dissect her team in the evening, and then you can say, well, I wouldn't do that, I'd do this or whatever. So that'll be moving forward. But there we go. But then it's time for this. Score predictions. Now, we haven't got any. Guys, if you're in the chat, get your score predictions in for us. Let us know what you think. Yes. I don't think we're going to get a clean sheet tomorrow. I just think we're starting to worry too much about it. And as Gary said, as long as we win, and a few guys have said that as well. I'm actually going to go. I believe we could win this. I know we need to, but I believe we could win this. I am going to go Leicester City 2, Norwich 1.
You see, that's what I wanted to pick. And I think that's probably a lot. The people who are going to sort of be positive about the result, that's what they will pick. And I'm deliberately not going to say 2-1 now, and I'm going to say 3-1 to Leicester.
3-1.
I am going to say 3-1.
For me, it will be all about the crowd, because I think the crowd get behind them. Even if that one goal that Norwich get is an early goal, I think if the crowd get behind them, we could see something happen tomorrow. It is all about the crowd. Ben has gone 2-1, Scrappy win the same. Advisor's gone, it'll be tight, probably 2-1. And Andreas has said 2-0 to Leicester, so he's thinking we're going to get the clean sheet. But for me, it is all about this tomorrow. Oh, and Craig's just come in with a 3-1. He's agreed with you as well. But for me, and I put this out earlier, do you support? And this was every couple of days I do a talking point and let people have their sort of just say on something that's not particularly news. But do you support the Unite for Change Leicester City protest, which is calling for King Power to leave? And I have to say, the majorities was yes. There was some no's. I'm kind of on the fence, and I was hoping Reese would be in. I understand he can't because we've kind of discussed this before, Clibo. For me, I don't have a problem with protests. We live in a free country, apparently. We should be allowed to protest peacefully, and respectfully, and that's the two words: peacefully and respectfully. None of no name calling or we want people dead or any of that. But I just think it's the wrong time. I think because this is the first. If Marty had still been here, yes, and I know we're not protesting against Gary Rowett. We're going protesting about the owners. But I just think put it off for the next home game or something. This is such an important game. The first home game under the new manager. I think I'm not against it. I'm against it being tomorrow.
Oh, well, I mean, I can't really add much to that because that's pretty much my opinion. I think it's really important that the fans have the opportunity to protest. In fact, I can't really disagree with it. The only thing I would say is to make the impact that you want to make, it's all about timing. And I think if the people who are organising it just paused for a second, they would realise that there is a much better, there'd be much more better opportunities to make the impact that they're trying to make. Now, the other thing is that every football team has a set of fans that like to get lagered up before the game. Now, that's fine because that's football. You're meeting in the Swan and Rushes and having a few pints before they. Yep, right, that's great. But we also have a set of fans that once they've had a few pints, are a bit leery. If those set of fans, now Reese's argument is protest, everyone goes in, behaves impeccably, gets behind the team. That's never going to happen in a million years because you are going to get a section of fans that get lagered up, give it the fucking top out, all that. Take that into the Walker's Crisp Bowl. They take it in there, and Thomas makes a howler. Nelson makes a howler. 1-0 down after 5 minutes. You can see where that potentially could go, and I just don't think this is the game for it. No negativity. No matter what happens in the game, tomorrow is the game, whether you like it or not, from minute 1 to minute 96. Cheer, cheer, cheer. Got to get a win tomorrow. Doesn't matter. If we're playing shit, if we're missing goals, got to encourage. Because tomorrow, for me, is a real make or break game. And that's the reason I don't think it should go ahead tomorrow, although it's going to. But I think it should go ahead better timed though.
No, I totally agree. Let us know in the chat what you guys think. I mean, me and Clibo there, or proper English Clibo and I, singing from the same hymn sheet. Advisor says my take from across the pond: be respectful but support the team when the match starts. The biggest problem is not KP, but how Top and Rudkin have managed the club. The thing is, like I say, again, we've got this thing about KP. If you look on, what do they call it? Something house about the, check the owners and that. Yes, that one. It's all the Top family. It's not, King Power. But I do, for me, I think the biggest way of showing your support is just not to turn up to the match. if they'd got a match, and I know they've tried this before where they were coming in 12 or so minutes late, and allegedly, I don't know how true this is, the cameras, because obviously they've got their own cameras as well, are told not to film that. I think Sky were possibly asked not to as well. Whether they did or not, who knows? But, what you need is all those people opposite the cameras, behind the dugouts. It's that crowd that you need to not turn up, because that's on that. You can't avoid that. That's on the camera.
The most effective thing and the most damning thing would be that only the away fans are in the ground. Now, unfortunately, you're going to. There's always, if that was organised, you are always going to get somebody that will go, well, I'm going. If you want the club to listen to you, that is the way to do it.
Yes.
Because that is, nobody's going to see the people of walking down the streets. It's not going to be filmed. It's not going. It's going to have no impact on TV. Because it's on TV. It's going to have no impact.
Yeah.
Whereas an empty stadium kills it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, 100%. It might be on local news, I don't know. But the interesting thing was, as you know, I lived in Burnley for many, many years, 20-odd years. They were in this position, and what they did, and I joked about it at the time, but actually thinking about it, I can see why they did it, is they all went in as normal. And now this was before seats came along. They all went in as normal and turned their back for 10 minutes.
It's a bit petulant, that, isn't it?
I did laugh at the time. I have to say, I did laugh at the time, but you're gonna if we score, then they're gonna turn around, and it's all gonna end. But that I kind of sort of can see. But again, to me, that would have more effect than the protest, because, like you say, that's on camera.
Yeah, and there are. Look, listen. Before anyone has a go, I have. If it goes ahead tomorrow, which it will, I've no real problem with it.
Yeah.
In fact, had Gary Rowett not been the new manager and the situation we're in, I probably would have attended. If I'm honest, I'm not great at the moment. In terms of my back, I can't really be doing too much, but I probably would have tried to attend, but I can't. I can't because I don't agree that it should go ahead tomorrow. But I respect everyone's right to do it, and I would never, it's not like the miners' strike. I'm not going to be calling people a scab for doing it. Go do it. If you feel like that you're going to feel better for doing it, go do it. But just don't take it into the ground. But we know that some people will.
100% that. Yes, I know. I agree with you. We know some people will, and we can probably guess who those people are. But just get behind the lads once you walk into that stadium. You've done your protest. As advisor says, I'm not sure there is a right answer to this. Probably not.
No.
There's probably not, because
we'll all have as hell, isn't it?
It is. Clibbo, thank you very much. We will be back tomorrow from 11:30. It's another fucking early start. Thank you, Sky. I finish work at 10. I normally go back to bed for an hour or so. Won't be able to do that because we are live from 11:30 with the watch along. And if anybody is thinking of joining us for the watch along, it's Crocodile Luke 2, the return. Luke from Australia is coming for the post-match. And again, if Clibbo, we've got a space now because that's going to be 5. If you want to come along post-match, you're welcome to as well. Come along and join us, because there's a certain other big channel, Leicester fan channel, that isn't actually going to be broadcasting a watch along tomorrow because they're all down at the protest. So if you want a lot of chocolate on your biscuit, join our club and come along and watch. That's showing me age. Come along and join us at 11:30 for the live watch along. Thanks to everybody that's been in the chat today. Really do appreciate it. If you've been listening via your favourite podcast platform, again, thank you very much for that. Remember, subscribe, like, click the notification bell, and if you're watching via your mobile phone, hype the video. It really does help. Clibbo, look after yourself. Thanks very much, mate. Let me know about tomorrow, and I will speak to you. If I don't see you then, I'll see you next week, sir. Thank you very much, and thanks to everybody in the chat. I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, come on. We've got to get a win, haven't we? We need a win. Come on, you foxes.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.